Premium Times Center for Investigative Journalism was founded in 2014 to promote a truly independent media landscape that advances the values of democracy. This year, PCCIJ transitioned to CJID, the Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development, to reflect our new and expanded scope of work. At CJID, we now focus on 5 major sectors: accountability, development, journalism, fact-checking and verification, as well as innovation, where we utilize civic tools, open data, and investigative journalism to strengthen West Africa's media sector. This is our most impactful work this year.
UDEME seeks to hold governments accountable on ways through which funds are utilized. These funds are allocated for either capital, constituency, and ecological projects. UDEME seeks to ensure that whichever fund has been set aside for this project, they are well utilized and are beneficial to members of the community. The year 2022 has been a remarkable year for us on the UDEME project. We had 2 major activities that were aimed at strengthening civic participation in public accountability: the Get Involved Week and the Town Hall meeting. The Get Involved Week was organized for the youth monitors to travel to rural communities and sensitize members from the public on why they should get involved in public accountability and take ownership of projects that originally are meant for them. We had radio appearances in Lagos, Ekiti, Kwara, Sokoto, and Benue states. We had a vox pop on the streets to hear what people have to say about the need to get involved, and we also had our Twitter space. In 2023, we look forward to regional expansion. How can we be able to replicate what we are doing here in Nigeria to other West African states so that citizens can begin to enjoy the benefits of good governance?
Now, our project was built or conceived in order to further entrench democracy in Nigeria and strengthen it through collaboration, working with institutions, and finally reporting in a way that adds value to the conversations that almost everyone is having about elections. Some of the better works we did this year were actually works that had intra and inter-organization collaborations. So as a build-up on last year, we're able to have our second judges roundtable with an expanded scope and expanded stakeholders at the meeting. We had INEC, we had political parties, and we had other experts in the field speaking to issues of corruption and also conflicting judgments in elections. Looking forward, 2023, of course, we're all looking towards the 2023 elections. It's an election that has new set of rules thanks to the Electoral Act. It has a very interesting array of players, and we are hoping that we have our eyes on the field so that we can report on it in a way that would be useful to not just the Nigerian citizens, but also to our democracy as a whole.
The Media and Gender project of the CJID was created to advocate for the inclusion of gender perspectives in the reportage of all national issues by the media. One of the major significant activities under the project in the year 2022 was the design and launch of the Gender-Based Violence Reporting Handbook, which was done in response to findings from a survey that was conducted by the center, where over 100 journalists were polled to get their understanding of gender-based violence, to get their perspectives, and to also know the challenges that they encounter in the field in terms of reporting on gender-based violence. As we journey towards 2023, the intention is to continue to advocate for the inclusion of gender perspectives in the reportage of issues across the media, and we also have plans to continue to capacitate journalists with sustainable approaches to reporting on gender-based violence and other social issues in the country.
The Media Freedom Project is centered on the rudiments of freedom of the press and freedom of expression as supported by the 1992 Constitution as amended, in Section 22 and Section 39. Some of our most impactful work for the year 2022 will be the stakeholder dialogue in building a national policy for safeguarding the freedom of the press and safeguarding journalists. And in doing that, we brought media executives from across different media houses, digital, print, and even the broadcast. We were also able to bring representatives from the regulatory body to re-strategize and develop a national policy so that journalists can carry out their work without any form of interference. In 2023, as election is fast approaching and the safety of journalists is a major concern for all in Nigeria, we aim to intensify our advocacy around the safety of journalists before, during, and after the election.
Campus Reporter is a learning platform for campus journalists built on the principles of evidence-based journalism. Beyond our campus journalism clinics, where we've trained over 250 campus journalists this year, we've also engaged campus journalists in other projects of the Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development. And this includes election observation project, where we partnered with the Media in Election project. And in this regard, we trained over 45 campus journalists on election observation, and we deployed them for the Ekiti and Osun State gubernatorial election respectively. In the year 2023, we're looking forward to conducting more niche-specific trainings, and one of these trainings that we've prepared in our line of items is the climate reporting training. This will be in partnership with the climate desk of the Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development. And beyond this, also, the 2023 general election is just by the corner. We've seen campus journalists being deployed for election observation before, and they've done this wonderfully. So we'll be looking forward to deploying more campus journalists to cover the elections as it unfolds across Nigeria.
The Climate Change Project aims to improve the capacity of journalists and civil society actors who effectively report climate change issues across Anglophone West African countries, and to also conduct in-depth research analysis on environmental crises caused by climate change. In 2022, we trained over 50 journalists across Anglophone West African countries on climate change-related issues. And out of these 50 journalists, we supported over 30 of them with small grants to help report climate change issues in their respective countries. Also in 2022, we did a Climate Change Media Summit where we launched 3 major policy documents. In 2023, we plan to deepen our engagement through collaborations and partnerships with organizations that work around climate change ecosystem, both in Nigeria and in other Anglophone West African countries.
The Conflict, Security and Human Rights Project is a project designed to build capacity and advocacy around human rights related issues. In the year 2022, we had a number of engagements, one of which is the Voices for Change project, where we collaborated with the Institute for War and Peace Reporting, and we trained journalists and CSOs. We trained about 10 journalists and 8 CSOs on human rights reporting and advocacy. We also had an in-person and a virtual dialogue session where we engaged critical stakeholders to discuss human rights issues such as police brutality and issues related to internally displaced people. In the year 2023, we intend doing more capacity buildings on human rights reporting and advocacy. Also, we intend to scale up by engaging other Anglophone West African countries such as Ghana, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, and Liberia.
Dubawa, a foremost fact-checking media literacy and verification platform in West Africa. We are also domiciled in Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia. This year, 2022, we had a couple of events and activities, one of which is the training of staffs from the Nigerian Library Association in the act of fact-checking and verification. We also held disinformation in elections dialogue in September, where we brought about stakeholders from different arms in Nigeria to discuss their role in curbing misinformation, especially as the 2023 general election approaches. and most importantly is the 2023 general elections in Nigeria in February, which we're of course going to be on ground fact-check event activities as is unfolding.
BAR in 2022 has been great. We've seen very good response in our applications for projects that we want to implement. One of the most impactful ones for me is the support of the US Embassy to take the capacity building efforts to non-urban journalists across the country. Through that project, we've been able to train over 60 journalists across the regions, and to an extent, make the necessary input in their newsroom ethics in terms of verification and truth amplification. At BAR Ghana, we are excited for what 2023 holds. We're looking forward to implementing more of our projects. We are looking forward especially to coming back with our campus fact-checking project, one of our flagship projects that we executed 2 years ago, and many more things to come.